There we go. Hey everybody. Usually there's intro music, and I don't know where the intro. This isn't us. Weird. Well, thank you everybody for being so patient with us as we broadcast live. This is part of the fun of doing a live show.
It is.
We have been scrambling to get set up. Actually, the goal was to have this entire studio built by the time we went on. So we've been over here with hammers, and there's construction workers over there. We are currently in downtown. Where are we at right now, Robert?
We are in Corktown, Michigan Avenue. Yes,
downtown Detroit.
Yep.
And we got out here, and so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It was a rough ride, but I love what you said. You said this is raw.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
That's what people want.
It's funny because we've done this. Me and you've done this before on a different show, right? And it's funny because I think I told you when we walked in here, if I ever do a podcast again, I'm not going to go live.
Yeah. This is true behind the scenes. Like, look, behind the scenes.
Like quite literally.
Yeah, behind the
behind
scenes.
us.
There's you can. If you look behind Summer's shoulders right there, there's feet. So
there's a mannequin. We're basically in a building that's still under construction right now. So
like
we're
literally
making
they're constructing right now.
Oh, yeah. Quite literally.
Which is great. But this is going to be the new home. Well, this isn't. Well, kind of is.
Kind of.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So this is the future home of the RCA headquarters.
Yeah.
It will be called the Social Media Store.
Okay.
Yeah. And so not where we are, but right next door, there will be a brick and mortar retail location where people will be able to walk through at any time and receive social media help.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, like on demand?
On demand.
Wait, hold on. Now, I thought I was crazy for continuing to want to do a live podcast, but you guys are going to become the Apple store for social media?
Man, it couldn't be described any better. Like that is it.
Wow.
You could literally
did
walk
you see,
by
wait.
and walk in.
Did you just see him lost for words?
No, I've
that
never
has
seen
never
that.
happened
It's the
before.
first time.
Well, there's two thoughts. One, that's genius, but two, you poor people.
Yeah.
I've been in Apple stores when the lady walked in and says, "I don't know how to turn it on."
Yeah.
And you're like, "You have to charge it first."
That's the whole part. But see, here's the thing. You're paying a monthly membership.
Yeah.
So if you like coming in with the most basic questions is amazing.
Yeah.
Because we make you happy and you continue to pay your membership.
That's something. So I didn't know about this. I didn't realize that that's where we're sitting. And I love this because hopefully you'll be back with us a year from now.
Yeah.
And it will be built out and we can compare. So, note to self, edit clips here.
Right.
Look where you've come.
Yes. You get to tell the actual story. I seen it before it was anything.
Before we had power. And that's one of the things. I mean, for you guys, we got in here and we're like, there's no power.
No power.
Yeah.
No
then
Wi-Fi.
We're like, how are we going to use Wi-Fi?
We have all this new equipment.
All I said was, hey, you want to do it in my space?
That's what you said.
They didn't know it was nothing here.
You
It was
said-
actual space. That's all I have is space.
You want to come down to the new office? I said, sure, we travel. I didn't realize we needed to bring the generator.
There's a skeleton.
It's so
It is
funny.
a skeleton.
Literally, there's
We found power.
That's great. Yeah,
We
but
borrowed
that's it.
Wi-Fi.
We borrowed Wi-Fi. We found power.
Yeah, thank you for
I feel
the
lucky.
people up. Yes.
Things are coming together.
It all came together.
Yeah.
It's actually a great thing for my brand. Like we just make it happen.
That's it.
Like that's who we are. That's who
That's
I've
true.
always been.
Yeah.
We make it happen.
It doesn't, and it's that is success as a whole, right? Like you got two different types of people. When problems hit, they just give up and say, I don't think this is going to work. Let's reschedule, whatever, right? But in success, you just got to figure out, we had to figure out how to make this work.
Yep, you got to be resourceful.
We could have gone to Chase next door and just said, hey, we're going to sit in here for a minute.
And Chase is a big sponsor, so they'd have been like, oh, yeah.
Right,
we
of
need
course.
to borrow a meeting room.
Of course,
No problem.
We're going to just set up in the lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing about this block, too. We got Chase, who's become a big sponsor, partner.
Yeah.
I have All Things Detroit. Jennifer is amazing. She loaned us her Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And so, like, this block is full of partners, neighbors, and people who I do business with. So it's going to be an unbelievable experience once things are up and running.
Which is smart for you too as a business person, because is that part of the business plan? Like once every 2 years, just move into a new block and then just introduce yourself to the neighbors?
Absolutely not. This has been a crazy roller coaster of an experience. It's cool that I'm getting I'm at the point where I can step into my own space and build something from scratch.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
From scratch.
Yeah.
But the reality is we're a social media agency. We don't need a space. We could operate from our bedroom on our phones and do the exact same work.
Except for it's weird to offer the old ladies in for social media help in your bedroom.
The social media store wouldn't work. that might not
I'm
be
here for I don't know how do I twit my daughter.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So tell me about, because this is I've seen the shirts.
Yes.
I assumed at CreatorCon, you know, I assumed that was going to be like a shop.rca.com type of deal. I didn't realize that you were creating an actual store for social media help that people just walk into.
Yeah. It's always been something that I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, most people struggle with very basic things.
Yeah.
And they're scared to even say it. Like, I can't figure out how to set up a Facebook page.
Right.
You know, and so it's
I can relate.
embarrassment.
Can you help with mics?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been learning a lot about, you know, the going live and
Yes.
you know, doing social media, and wow, TikTok has given me a little bit of struggle.
Yeah.
I could walk into your office and get help.
Imagine that. You don't have
We
to be
did walk into his office.
I
We're
know.
here.
Yeah,
Oh, we did.
exactly.
So okay, all right. Side note: since we're here, why not? So when she went and set our TikTok up, and she thought, all right, cool. Well, there's a birthday. Well, we'll just use us, like us getting.
Goodness.
So TikTok thinks that we're 0 years old.
So
no.
bad. So we're on like a child account.
Oh,
and
gosh.
I've messaged TikTok and I'm trying to tell them like I'm 25.
Stop.
You know,
How do we fix this?
Stop.
literally.
Create a new page.
Is that what we do? Just
Yeah,
unhook
100%.
everything?
No,
delete
so
it?
I actually
Start
did
from
on the
scratch.
way here. I created a new,
Oh,
Yeah.
good. So coming to
Yeah.
TikTok soon.
Yeah.
We are
It's-
not infants.
Yeah, and don't expect to be able to go live right away. You guys know that.
Yeah. We've learned that one.
Okay.
We learned that one 4 episodes ago. That's why this is episode 2, but we've got like 8 episodes under our belt
Good.
so
Yeah,
far.
for sure. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the journey that you've taken from, you know, starting out in social media. By the way, also, I love the post that you just made the other day, talking about how live selling is going to happen, because me and you are in the same circles. I also watched an hour-long presentation on that, and I started having the exact same conversations with people that have liked your post. And what I love about social is we're all interconnected on social.
Yeah.
So I'm actually using your post, and I'm like, hey, this is validation of what I was just telling you about, because you just liked what Robert Courtney said. This is where we
Exactly.
need to go
Yeah.
in 2025. Like, how can we
Right.
be even more interactive and sell stuff somehow online?
Yeah,
right?
100%. So before we dive into that, is there a broadcast happening on Facebook right now?
Yeah.
Can I share that? What's the
Yeah, you can share Facebook.
Oh, here we go. Got it. Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Just want to make sure we're getting as much reach as possible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Facebook, YouTube. Next week we'll be on Twitch as well.
Nice.
And this is a really good time to say that we'll actually be doing gaming on Twitch as well. Once a month, we're going to have a special gaming night. So we'll be on Twitch, probably playing what? Call of Duty?
Yeah, Black Ops 6.
There you go.
And
you got to give a shout out to your sponsors.
yeah, we
Absolutely.
actually have a whole, but we can do that right now while you're taking the time. Everything right now that you see out is our first sponsorship money came in from Title Partners, a true partner to us. They'll be a true partner to you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate and thank them for sponsoring the podcast. They actually sponsored us for an entire year.
Oh, nice.
So we have a lot more things that are going to be coming in. Like I said, they're true Title Partners. It's not just in their name, it's what they do with their agents. So make sure that you head out and check out them, and the links will be in the links will be in where the links go. That's I'm still working on it, man. I don't know, like, you know.
We'll make sure there's links in the bio for
That's it.
sure.
Thank
And,
you.
Yeah,
Links
we'll
in
make
the
it easy
comment.
for you to find.
Make sure to subscribe.
Oh man, I love
It's
it.
okay.
Okay, so
You need
what
to
was
be
my
there.
question?
What was your question? My question was, like, walk us through when did, and I don't know this, so I'm going to ask you a couple things I've always wanted to ask. And by the
Please.
way, let me know, like, how much time do we have?
We can go.
Okay, because
I'll figure the rest out.
the other thing that we've decided is we shouldn't really have a time limit. Why? And I learned that from your show.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So, and the girls, the Real Producers podcast.
Yep.
Or no, Real
RPR.
Producers, RPR.
RPR.
So let me ask you this: when did Robert Courtney turn into Robert Courtney and Associates? And when and what happened to the whole unique thing?
Yes. So I'll answer the first question, the last question first.
Okay, perfect.
So Unique Collection is alive and well. It never went anywhere. It transitioned into a wholesale operation primarily. So we started off wanting to be, a big retail brand where people can go to Macy's and go to different outlets and purchase our brand, being boutiques around the country. During COVID 2020, we were approached by a really, really, really large company that I can't say because it's a part of our contract to produce clothing for them.
Okay.
And
wow. So it's Nike.
Like, you can't
it's
say,
right.
but it
I can
sounds
say it.
exciting.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
Wow.
during COVID, a lot of non-domestic partners got shut down. Like import export was crazy.
Yeah.
And so they needed domestic partners, like people that can produce here and get it to them the way they needed it. And so a relationship from someone who started off as a very junior buyer for this big company approached us and asked us if we were still doing streetwear. And we were like, yeah, of course. They asked, could we produce some stuff? They gave us a small sample test. We knocked it out the park. They gave us another order that was a little bigger, knocked it out the park. And then from then on, it was like gangbusters.
Wow.
So we didn't even have time or the bandwidth to do anything else but make sure that we delivered for them. And so that's been going now since 2020. And so Unique operates in a wholesale capacity, but very, very much still in operation.
So I didn't realize this. So Unique is a clothing
Yes.
brand?
Lifestyle. We consider it a lifestyle brand.
Okay.
It started off as a barbershop. So I cut hair in a barbershop down
No
the street.
kidding.
And it was called Unique.
UNEEK.
You cut hair too? I didn't know any
Listen,
of this.
Johnny, this is all full circle.
Unique.
Yeah.
On Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
In 2004, I started working as a barber down the street, and the lady who owned the barbershop decided a year and a half later she didn't want to do hair anymore.
Yeah.
She asked me if I wanted to partner with her. 2007, I partnered with her, and then a year later, I bought her out. I borrowed money from family, my dad mainly,
Yeah.
and bought her out, took over that barbershop, and realized really quickly I didn't want to own a lot of barbershops.
Was
Like,
that
was
your
one and done.
first business that you
That
owned?
was.
Wow.
It was and I had zero business background. Never thought it would happen that fast. I knew I wanted to own things, but
Yeah.
never in a million years I think it would be a barbershop. But I'm like, if I'm going to do it, like I might as well do
Start
it now.
somewhere, yeah.
Yep. And so
Yeah.
I bought that barbershop and learned the ropes. And I wanted to do more, but I just didn't want to do more barbershop. So the thing that came to mind was, let's build this lifestyle brand. Brand wasn't even really a word thrown around back then.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
let's build this company that plays in all the different areas that I enjoy as a person. So
Yeah.
clothing being, one of the first things that I wanted to tackle. So
Wow.
yes.
That's
Did you name it Unique? Did you
Nope,
rename
it was already
no
Unique.
kidding.
Yeah,
Really?
unique unisex barbershop.
Which is crazy because then you became Robert Unique Courtney, didn't you?
So Facebook in 2008,
Yeah.
right? Like everybody had like a little, I don't know, play name incorporated
Yeah.
into their
How
name.
weird.
Yeah.
No, I remember
Johnny
that.
Awesome.
Yeah, right.
Legally.
now, right? But so
Yeah.
Unique, it was branding.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like I want make sure people know that the one Unique that they know that's spelled weird and different,
Yeah.
that's mine.
Yeah.
And so like that's how I built connection between me and that barbershop at the time. And then that became, it was Robert Unique on MySpace. It was Robert Unique on
MySpace.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So all these platforms, I would always choose that profile name
Yeah.
to be consistent with my branding.
That's how you kind of wanted to be remembered, known as
Correct.
your name with
But then we
Unique.
took it to another level. We created an acronym. We created the acronym for Unique, which was Unifying Nationalities by Encouraging Education and Knowledge.
Oh.
And so we
Ooh.
needed that part because what I understood really quickly is that people who back then that built brands, there was no
Yeah.
meaning behind it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Yeah.
trying to take a logo, put it on the shirt, and put it out there.
Yep.
And so for me, it was like there has to be more. It can't just be a T-shirt with a logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be meaning behind what it is.
Yeah.
So like our thing has always been, and even as we talk, you will realize this. My underlining goal has always been about bringing people together.
Huh.
Like that's really my mission and purpose in life.
Yeah.
I bring people together. So Unique was unifying nationalities by encouraging education and knowledge. We were going to use this brand to bring people together by educating people about things about different cultures that people didn't know.
Interesting.
So that was the premise.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I had no idea. By the way, now we have the title for the podcast. It's going to go from barbershop to brand master. That's what, that's,
There you go.
there it
Yeah.
is. So
Oh, yeah, it's
remember
really
that
cool.
one, Steve.
I thought about doing a book years ago, and I was going to call it From the Barbershop to the Boardroom.
Oh,
But
boardroom
it sounded-
barber.
Might still
felt
happen.
it felt
I like
corny.
that.
It
Yeah,
felt corny.
that's all right. you really have, well, but you're a social media guy. You could do books though. Have you
Yeah.
thought about doing a book?
Branding for Beginners. It's a book already out.
Yeah, but like on you and your journey.
Oh,
Story.
yeah. I mean, again, it feels corny now.
Yeah.
If someone approached me and said, "Hey, we want to do a book that
Yeah.
talks about your life," absolutely.
Yeah.
But me
Just
taking the
doing it?
time to write out, like at this point, like I don't feel like I've done enough. Like I feel like there has to be way more.
You
Gotta
want to do
change
more.
way more lives and
Yeah.
have way more of an impact on the world. And
Which is
then-
interesting because you're doing it through a means which some people would criticize and say that, like, you know, social media is antisocial, some people would say out there.
Yeah.
Yet you've taken a hold of it, like even at CreatorCon. You know, I know you saw the clip because you accepted the invite. But like you've created an event now where people once a year get together and it's like a family and it's like almost like a family reunion for
Yeah.
people almost.
Yeah,
And it's
the
only
nature
been a
of it.
couple years.
Right. It's 3 years in, but it's funny that connects back to Unique. So learning the fashion game was really important. Like we didn't want to just come in and do clothes as just two people who want, to make money.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually learn about how to do fashion, how to source fabrics. Like we went
Wow.
to conventions left and right. I went to Vegas every single year for 10 years straight, trade shows. And so doing that, what I didn't realize was I was learning the event and the conference game just as much as I was learning the fashion
Incredible.
game. And
Yeah.
so those experiences was very similar to CreatorCon, where you show up every year, you see the same people. It
Yeah.
becomes kind of like this thing you look forward to because you haven't seen this person in a year.
Yeah, and then you probably meet new people. So
Yeah.
it was my first year at CreatorCon. But yeah, I met a lot of people and I have, some on social media now. But it is exciting to think about, they'll be there next year
Yeah.
too. Yeah, can't wait. And then to meet new people. So yeah, I'm excited for year 2 CreatorCon.
Yeah.
What's great about that I love, you did something kind of like what I did with Oktoberfest.
Mm-hmm.
You created a social media networking gathering thing, and you designed it around the fashion industry. Because now it all makes sense. Like
Yeah.
this all makes sense now. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
does.
It all makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
You literally did a fashion show, but you plugged that formula into how to do social media.
He did all of it. Yeah.
Just like I did professional wrestling and said, what if we took professional wrestling and turned it into a real estate event?
Yeah.
And that's what Oktoberfest is.
Yes. It's the
Yeah.
blue. You use the blueprint that you understand well
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
create the thing that actually is needed at that particular time.
Do you know how to sew?
I do not.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, this
Yeah.
is great.
so
Yeah.
you can't like hem your.
No.
No, okay.
But that's the thing, like cut and sew, for example.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking to a true fashion enthusiast
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you tell them you have a clothing line and your
Yeah.
clothing line is just the t-shirt with a screen print or some type of transfer,
Yeah.
they'll tell you you're not a fashion designer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you have to know how to cut and actually sew.
It's
for
like
a
art.
for a real
Yeah.
fashion designer to
Mhm.
consider you that. So my thing is I'll never pull out a sewing machine.
Yeah.
But I will understand all the different facets, how to create a tech pack, what's involved in it,
Yeah.
all the different elements that's needed in order to do the work that they do.
It's like you're respecting the
I re-
craft by,
exactly.
making yourself
it.
knowledgeable about it.
That's it. And I'll
Yeah.
put my 10,000 hours in.
Yeah,
There
I
it
love
is.
it, yeah.
So you could, I bet you could, if you pull if you probably could
Oh,
cut and sew.
absolutely.
just don't.
I bet you could
100%.
do
It's
it.
just it's really about what do I want to do versus
Yeah,
what
yeah.
do I have to
Yeah.
do. That's literally my dream as a kid was to be able to do what I wanted to do. Like
Yeah.
I thought about it on a very regular basis. My mom wake me up, have me make my bed and clean up, and it's just like, why do I have to do this? She went
Yeah.
there for school. Like, why do I have to do this?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cannot wait to the day where I can choose what I do every day.
Yeah.
So
So here's the real question from that. Do you currently still make your bed?
when I want to.
Ah!
When I want to.
And I have my niece actually just started working for me, but
Yeah.
I've had, cleaners for the last 3-4 years.
And that's what they do. They make your bed.
they make my bed.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you know that they have self-making beds?
Oh, is that right?
Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
No,
I
look it
believe
up.
you, but
Yeah,
that's
Google it.
wild.
Yeah.
The sheet has some sort of like air type of machine inside of it.
I don't put anything
Wait,
past anything
I
nowadays.
want one actually.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really want one actually.
It fills the air up
It
into
can't
the
be
blanket.
comfortable to sleep in.
What's that?
It can't be comfortable
Yeah.
to sleep in.
It makes itself. You got to have a trade somewhere,
No,
right?
yeah, I
Or
won't
like, can it tuck
trade
you
my
in when you're
quality of
laying
sleep.
laying down already?
It tucks you, it hugs you and slowly
snuggles
rocks
you
you.
in.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
that's cool. So
Yeah.
how did you so what's the transition from
Yeah, so I answered the last question first.
Yeah.
So then Robert Courtney. Courtney's my middle name.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, for the majority of my life, until I was probably mid to late 30s, I was embarrassed by my middle name.
Really?
Yes, like I wouldn't even tell people I had a middle name.
Because it was a girl's name, you thought, or what?
I mean, like people, like when I was young, people would make fun of it a little
always
bit.
do,
Yeah,
yeah.
kids are
Yeah,
mean.
kids are mean.
Kids suck. Her
You
name
know.
was Summer. My middle
Yeah.
name was Milo.
Yeah, and
I
I
never
didn't-
told anybody that.
Right. And I didn't understand, like, why would you name me Courtney? But then around 20, my parents decided to tell me the story of how I got the name Courtney, which I don't even think I've ever said it on a show or a podcast.
This is the place to do it.
But
that
yeah,
sounds
so
interesting.
the backstory really quickly is that when my mom was in the hospital pregnant with me, like in the room, my dad ended up meeting this gentleman in like the waiting room or the lobby or something. And Mom, if you're watching this and I get this story wrong a little bit, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But the way I remember it is he was out getting coffee or doing something, and they meet this guy. This guy name is Courtney, and this guy has these 4 silver dollars that are apparently worth a pretty decent penny, but there was no technology. They couldn't look up how much the dollars were worth. But
Yeah.
do you guys remember like the silver dollars?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So he ends up talking to my dad, and they develop such a crazy connection where he's like, I just want to make sure that we remember each other. I'm excited for the birth
Wow.
of your son. I'm going to give you these 4 silver dollars as a way to always remember me. So they go their separate ways. It's time to name the child. My mom, hates the name Robert. She doesn't want. I don't know. I shouldn't say she hated. She doesn't want her child to be named Robert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so my dad and my mom have this back and forth. My mom compromise was that we'll name him after you, but he has to have at least a middle name.
Okay.
Included. He can't just be Robert Collins III. So they decide to name me after this gentleman that they met, and they still add the third to it. So I'm Robert Courtney Collins III, but not in the traditional sense. Like they named me that. Because, traditionally, it's supposed to be the exact
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
Of the,
Yeah.
so that's the story.
Wow.
Whoa. So
That's
he was at the hospital, and his name was Courtney.
The guy's name was Courtney.
it's crazy. If I were to summarize that whole thing, your dad met some dude at the hospital that paid him to name you after him. That's
Did those silver dollars
Yeah, what happened
hold
to the
any?
silver
I
dollars?
still have them.
Oh,
You
cool,
have
you
them?
have them.
No kidding.
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
my God,
And
I wonder-
I've never looked up to see what they're worth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder, have you ever looked up, since you learned this story, said Guy Courtney?
I have not.
That'd be interesting.
can
to
we
And I
know.
don't even
find
know
them?
if we could even find
That's
Oh my
probably
goodness,
very,
would we do
very
that?
difficult.
I would imagine he probably passed away by now.
Maybe.
I think that'd be a fun project for us. Like,
Yeah.
could we take the next year
That could be interesting.
finding Robert Courtney Collins?
You're like, yeah, that would be definitely interesting.
namer guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you call that
I
guy?
have no idea. He was
Courtney with
Courtney.
the coins.
Yeah, Courtney with the coins.
Courtney with
Yeah.
the
I bet you with your
But-
reach, I bet you could do it.
Oh, yeah,
maybe
you have a
potentially.
huge
But
reach.
here's the cool thing.
Yeah,
Branding is storytelling.
it is.
Essentially,
Yeah.
everything I do is about telling someone's story. And for me, like that was the first story that's actually connected to my brand, which is like before I was even born.
Oh, it
Before I
is.
was even here. Like there's
Yeah.
a story that played a role into everything that I'm doing now, and that's probably like the first one.
And imagine what that guy, would think had he known.
Yeah, I know.
Or if he
You
does
know,
know.
the impact.
What if he just shows up one day to your social media store and be like,
I'm Courtney.
I named you.
Yeah.
So funny.
It is a good example of, how sometimes people, they give you a real good influence, or, you really get something out of them. And, that person doesn't even know the true impact that they gave you.
That's why social media is so important. So,
Yeah.
so Robert Courtney was me recognizing that I needed to separate myself from Robert Collins, which is what everybody knew me as growing up and playing basketball and being a barber and like all the little social circles that I had created. I created Robert Unique Courtney on my Facebook page, and it was like, I want you to realize that I'm now doing something different. It was kind of like the ideology behind me using my middle name.
Which is crazy because it kind of the same thing has happened to you, because now Robert Courtney Collins, Robert Collins really doesn't, it exists within you, but really doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know Collins was even part of your name.
Yeah. Yeah. So fast forward. So then as I obviously started to transition from Unique into like the marketing space, the story behind that is our first deal came with a company called OxyWater. OxyWater was like supposed to be better than Gatorade. And this was during the time when Gatorade just kind of first came on the scene.
Yeah.
And so OxyWater was shooting for, some type of crazy explosion in the market. And they ended up getting a big deal with Walgreens in southeastern Michigan. And social media was just on the rise. Like it was just starting out. And they reached out. We had met them through Unique conferences and events and things like that. And they said, hey, I know you're getting into social media. We need someone to help us run our social media in Michigan. Would you be interested in doing it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like this is my opportunity. At the time, there was no company though.
Yeah.
It was just me, Robert Courtney, who used social to build Unique. And I was helping other people do their social, but not as a company, just more as consulting or what have you. And they said, okay, send us over your LLC and your W-9, and we're going to get this contract created.
Yep.
And I'm like, crap, like I don't have a company.
You're like, what
Yeah.
And so I needed to have it within like a couple of days, and I couldn't think of a great name that fast. And I was like, Robert Courtney LLC, like, let's go.
There it is.
That was it. And so that was the beginning. And my legal company name is Robert Courtney LLC to this day, and I do business as Robert Courtney and Associates.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: when did you start really? Because to anybody watching, and people do this all the time with successful people, they look and it's like, in the last 3 years, you knew what you're doing on social media, you blew up overnight, and then you're running all these events. But like, when did all the dots really start to connect? And you started to see that, because right now you're on that hockey stick. You're on that uprise right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel it, but I guess so.
No?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I would say 2015 is when Robert Courtney LLC was created. We had that contract with OxyWater. That was great, but it only lasted for a year. And when I was seeing the end of it, it was like, okay, well, I love this. I don't necessarily love the clothing stuff.
Yeah.
I do it because it created like a great platform and opportunity, but I'm passionate about this social media stuff. And so I started doing work for free, like literally. Like I talk to people all the time, and they're in that space where they're struggling or going through challenges or trying to find new clients. And I'm like, my claim to fame was working for free. Like, honestly, like I gained so much experience. I offered my services to people that I knew could use what it is I had to offer, but I didn't do it for anybody. It was like people who were already in a really great position who needed social. I went to those individuals and I said, hey, I'm willing to do this pro bono because I feel like I have a lot of value to add to what you're currently doing.
Wow.
And those free situations turned into paying situations. Maybe not what I wanted exactly, but A, I'm getting experience. A, I'm proving my concepts. I'm proving my strategies. And I'm building networks with those people's networks.
Yep.
Which now in hindsight, looking back, the secret sauce to that was building the relationships.
Yep.
Like the money was here, the relationships were like
Yeah.
major. As you know, I'm thinking about how things ended up progressing for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I'm thinking about when did it actually start to really like connect for me and make sense, I would say probably 2017, 2018. I got to the point to where I had too many clients to where I could only do it myself.
Yes.
And I had to bring in help and assistance because I started losing clients because I didn't have the bandwidth to cover different things.
Yeah.
So that would probably be like my first marker that I can remember when I'm like, okay, I
like
think
we
I'm
need
doing
backup.
something right here.
Yeah.
I gotta get some reinforcements.
And that's where, you know, like I watched, you added one or two people, and then you had some people that just were following around with the camera, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, you're on this main road out here with your poster up there with this huge team, you know, and you're sitting in the middle, and is that where now is RCA going to be part of social media store as well, or are these all
powered by the social media store?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
so
it.
most of those individuals that's there will rotate time and you know being here on location based on how the traffic flow goes. But yeah, like my one of the other parts of like the unique story and like RCA and how things work, I've always been huge on having a team around me.
Yeah.
Like it's not fun if you're not doing it with other people.
Yep.
But then it's like you can also be helping those individuals and helping them find their passion. So if you were ever to go back and look at unique videos or pictures, there's always a ton of us. Like we're like a little mob.
You are, yeah, you're everywhere, which is smart.
Yeah.
And again, talking about influence, you know, I started a recent position at Snap Homes who said, hey, we're just going to do black, you know, white on black shirts too.
Yeah.
And everywhere they show up now, they have the
on.
logo.
I just seen them last week at Thrive Advance, and they had this.
That's it.
Yeah, I love it.
And they show up in flocks. It's funny because even the little subtle things, and smart people that are successful realize that they see some little smart thing that somebody's doing that's successful. And then they don't have any issue just copying it.
Add it,
So many people try to come up with and do their own thing.
There's nothing new under the sun.
That's it right there. That's it.
Yeah.
So and I got to tell you, this is in all the years that I have done live podcasting now, you are the only person I've ever asked ahead of time if we could share a part of your life. Everybody else, I just surprise them. So
I appreciate it.
So we have, and I've actually, I told you this before we started shooting. This is a conversation I wanted to have with you forever. We have talked and always talked about what you're doing as far as your business side of things, but you have a whole private side of your life that really impacts people. Well, it is when you look at your overall brand, like the majority of people would have no idea, and that's like. I think that even though it's out there, which is really crazy because you don't hide it anywhere. You put it all out there, but I think perception is an interesting thing too. But I wanted to talk a little bit like about your past and your family life, and it is awkward. I don't know how to segue into it real well.
My wife passing away in
there you go.
2021.
So I got there you go. So you are what is that? You're a widower then.
Widower.
Yeah.
I had to learn it too.
Yeah.
Widower.
Yeah. So what impact? Like, walk us through that, because you're doing you are living in a world where you are not afraid to and show that, and you have that on social media a lot too, and you're constantly posting pictures with her and your kids and reliving those memories. And so, if you don't mind sharing, walk us through this.
Yeah. So my wife got COVID in 2021, July of 2021, and she had a hard fight with COVID for a while, but then the COVID basically destroyed her lungs.
Yeah.
And so she spent August of 2021 until October of 2021 in the hospital, basically fighting all of that. And then, you know, obviously COVID was one thing, but then what it did to her lungs, and then the process that the hospitals tried to use to bring her back, you know, and get her back healthy or whatnot, wasn't necessarily connected to COVID. So that was a very, very intense time. She spent the majority of it in a coma, in a medically induced coma. And so during that time, the family rotated visitation to make sure someone was with her 24/7. She was in a state where she was on a certain floor where she could never be alone. Like there had to be a nurse or someone at her side. She was going through a treatment called ECMO,
Okay.
and it's very intense. It's a machine that's hooked up to her that basically pulls blood out of her, cleans the blood, then puts it back into
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
And it's basically supposed to do the work that your lungs would supposed to naturally do. And so that's the highest progression of what she was dealing with, basically, because you go from like the PAP, the BiPAP machine, I think it's called, where it's helping you breathe,
Yeah.
and then if that's not working, then they put you under where they like, you
Was that
go
like
into
the
the medically
ventilator?
induced. They have medically induced coma, then they have the ventilator. So there's all these extremes. ECMO is like the most extreme situation. So she was in critical condition for a very long time, and we spent months like by her bedside. And prior to her going under, there was several text messages exchanged because at that time she couldn't talk because she had a mask over her face.
Yeah.
And during those text messages, it was like conversations around, do I share this? Are you comfortable with me sharing and talking about what you're going through? And she became very adamant, especially because it was like a time where people didn't know what was really happening in the hospitals and like what worked and what didn't. And so I'm pretty sure in her mind, it was like, let's give people as much information as we can to help them navigate their own individual journeys.
Wow.
And if you knew her, you knew that she wasn't a big social media person. Like she wasn't a person she was a social media person. She ran her own business. She was a very successful
That's very
hairstylist.
private too.
But she had very private side of her. So she
Yeah.
didn't share personal things very often, which is why I was hesitant at first when everything first started. But then her tone completely shifted into, no, like let's let people know what's happening, which then opened up a different side of my brain in terms of just being comfortable with letting people in, giving them the day-to-day updates on how she's doing. And she had a lot of clients, a lot of customers, a lot of friends who was concerned, and so they would text us every day anyway and ask us every day anyway. And so my thing was, you know what, we're going to start updating everyone at the same time. And so it turned into, basically it was like, when I think back about it, because I was obviously in a big haze, like
Yeah, obviously.
the world was happening. I was in a bubble. Like I was blinders on, I was sharing, I wasn't connecting. And so I'm just updating, putting it out there, but then I don't know what people are saying. I'm not reading comments. I'm not reading messages. I'm hyper focused on
You were like, you
what's
were
going on.
fulfilling her request and focusing on her.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So what was happening was, though, this was basically like a reality TV show. If I have to just put it in normal terms, the way people was tuning in to the day-to-day activity of what was going on with Ashley and her fight with this lung challenge that she was dealing with. And so anyway, that it went to another level because there was a emergency that happened in the hospital while she was there that basically caused brain damage. Her ECMO machines, one of the lines that basically went to her neck and was feeding the blood back into her body, it came undone. And so when that came undone, she wasn't getting blood to her brain for several minutes. And everything was, I would say, baseline, kind of the same until that incident happened. Yeah. And then it really took a really bad turn for the worse, but we didn't know. Like the family wasn't really aware of how serious it was because.
So you knew like a problem happened, but you were like you weren't.
It was in real time. So and obviously the doctors aren't being super open about the seriousness of the situation.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. And so they're giving us enough to satisfy us, but in looking back at it, it's no way we could have known
Yeah.
how serious it actually was. But she basically died on that day. Like she never recovered from that particular situation. But for us, it was like, for me personally, I don't want to speak for anybody else.
Yeah.
For me personally, the next 3 months that we were there, I grieved the situation. I'm her husband. I spent the last 11 years with her.
Yeah.
And so like I knew it was different from that day forward. So that time was kind of like becoming okay with the idea that she may never wake up was basically what I did. And so I had conversations, I wrote letters, I talked to her about the future, about our kids, and it's like, you don't know if they can hear you.
Yeah.
So like the thought is maybe she's hearing me. So like I want to tell her everything that I possibly could, which then led to late nights of gathering those thoughts, which is what social media would get. And so I don't know if you guys ever heard of the term like flow state. I mean, some people consider it like, like they don't really like to get into those conversations. It gets kind of weird. But I like now, like if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, like that's crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But now, after going through that, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. There's a different level of yourself that you can tap into that cannot be explained. And sometimes you just start writing or talking.
Oh, yeah.
And you are in a space that you don't even know how to get there. Like it just happens.
Oh, I believe
And so
it.
I spent probably 4 months, even after she actually passed, just in this mode of like sharing thoughts that I don't even know where they came from. I read stat posts from like 2 years ago, and I'm just like, I said that.
Yeah. Like,
I wrote that. Like I can't even.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was definitely like an experience that's really hard to put in words, but it changed me completely. I'll never be the Robert that I was prior to that.
Yeah.
And I would say probably just in the last year or so, I've kind of settled into this new version of me, which is a very like, I have a shorter fuse. like things bother me differently.
Yeah.
I'm not as patient, which I'm okay with. It's just you have to learn the new version
You're
of you.
self-aware.
My bandwidth isn't like it was at one point. The way I manage my kids are very different, than it was back then. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the story in a nutshell.
I just want to say first, obviously, condolences. That's a crazy story. But I think it's awesome because obviously you loved her very much, and I just think it's awesome that you got to have time with her in your life.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
What was the process like? Now, you're running companies at this point in time. Were you functionally still like, were you,
Involved with the day to day?
Yeah. Were you still doing that? Like, were you able to compartmentalize, or how were you handling all of that?
Yeah. Context. My dad passed in 2014, which was also very traumatic, and he got sick in March, died in October as well. So this wasn't my first go around with dealing with something similar, and so that situation like took me out. Like I was depressed for a couple years. I was very disconnected from business. I lost basically, like my barbershop career basically ended because of that situation. Like I was gone for probably 5-6 months. I would just pass customers off, et cetera. And so coming back from that was so much harder, to where these were some of the conversations I was having. Like, I can't allow what happened then to happen this time. We have kids to take care of. It's like, it's a very different situation in terms of my responsibilities in the world. And then if you're not here, like who's going to take care of them? Like all these different things. So with that being said, I haven't made like my respect and my admiration for my team just went to another level. And what it made me realize is I have an actual company. Like I have a legit organization that can function without me, which was like a really important thing that happened just for the growth and where RCA is even now, because I was present, but I wasn't present.
Yeah, no.
You know, like
yeah.
I was, aware of things happening, but I was given all the trust and empowered my team to make decisions on my behalf because, for a lot of the things I couldn't physically be there.
That's awesome that you have your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stepped up in a major way.
So how long, like, well, and it's hard, I've shared my story on the girls podcast. And the thing that's interesting, like when I go to your Facebook page and stuff like that, and I see posts and you'll repost stuff and you put stuff up.
Yeah.
How do you handle, I guess from a personal point of view, like how do you handle those memories without just crashing?
I think what I've been able to do, which is probably unique for most people, like a friend who's a therapist offered, just as a courtesy, like for me to come and talk to her. And I wasn't like in my mind at that time, it's like, I don't need therapy. Like I'm okay. Like I deal with things differently. But then I'm like, you know what? Who knows if something's wrong? Like, let me just go have a conversation, because a lot of times when you are depressed, you don't know you're depressed.
Yeah.
And so talking to somebody, it, kind of makes you realize things. So I went and talked to this lady one time, and she was going through like her clinical evaluations, I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
And not that she said, I'm going to put you through an evaluation. She told me later on, but she's asking me these questions and she's listening. We talked for probably 3 hours.
Dang.
And then she's like, I think you went through you skipped all the levels of grief, and you're at the end of the scale. So I guess there's a scale,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. Like,
I don't know about scales either.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So basically there's a scale, and there's levels of grief that most humans go through. So there's like anger, and then there's like denial, and like all these different levels, right?
Yeah.
And so
and then acceptance is the last, right?
Acceptance, and then there's like love, like you reach like a level of love, and then like joy or something. I forget what it's called. And so the way I'm talking, she's like, I think you skipped the levels. Like you're in, but then I had to tell her like, actually no, because I was angry.
Yeah.
I was in denial, but I was in the hospital. Like she was next to me, So I think I went through all of the different steps while I was there. And then when I came out of it and I was back to functioning in real life, it was like these memories actually bring me peace. Like they give me a sense of joy, like a sense of happiness, because I'm so fortunate that I was able to capture so many moments and times that we had. And
you said 11 years, right?
11 years.
Yeah, 11 great years.
11 great years. And then also I'm telling the story for April and Robbie, right? So like when I put out content, it's not necessarily about showing Ashley to the world. It's more about, if I'm not here for whatever reason, my kids can go and they can read my actual writings around their mom, how she impacted my life, what she meant to them, different things that they wouldn't necessarily know. They would hear stories, like different people would tell them different things, but you get to read my words.
And like when you typed it,
in those
like
moments.
Exactly.
In those actual moments.
That's what makes all the difference, I think. Because even when you said you reread your captions, you're like, who was that man typing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you become different versions of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And life changes. It impacts your thoughts. It impacts, how you perceive things and the way you feel in those moments. And so you got to see my real emotions during probably the worst time of our lives, and how I handled it and managed it. And, hopefully that's inspiration for you.
Yeah, I think it is inspiring to, take, like, the way that you see it now is nothing but love and happiness, I think that's super inspiring. I mean, it's something I think many people would inspire to be like.
It definitely is unique. I think, the thing that I hate the most is that Facebook's like, here's 7 years ago. And I'll take a look, and like 7 years ago, I've got my wife and my 2 kids, and we're happy out somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's different. Like when like I said, when I look at your stuff, you're like, yeah, here was 3 years ago, and I'm happy to share it. And I'm like, every time I see that stuff, I'm like,
pain.
Facebook, if you do not quit showing me pictures of our anniversaries, I'm gonna quit.
But that's because you haven't accepted it.
Yeah,
Really, I mean, that's really
true,
what it boils
yeah.
down to, right? And that's why there's levels. Like, it's like if you get into it with somebody, you get in a bad fight, right? Or you have a fallout.
Yeah, any relationship.
Any relationship.
Yeah.
You if that's somebody you love or somebody you care about, you carry that.
You grieve.
You grieve over that situation, and you grieve because you want what you had back. And so, sometimes it's hard to face what it is that created, the issue in the first place. And I just feel like I faced it head on. I really submersed myself into it to really come to grips with the idea that this will never be again. It was the greatest experience that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I probably will never experience anything like it. And now it's over.
But you got to experience it once. Like, how awesome
Some
is
people
that?
never get to fall in love.
Yeah.
Some people never get to experience that level of happiness, So
and you never know
appreciate
what
it for
the
what it
future
is.
would bring either.
Appreciate it for what it is.
know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful. That's powerful stuff.
It is so powerful. I love it.
So and so now you've got a company that's running, and now you're still a dad too.
Yeah.
How was that? Are you still transitioning? Do you got it figured out now? Or are you still transitioning?
I'll never have it figured out.
Yeah, I know.
It's
What? We don't figure it out one day?
yeah,
Are
we
you
just
kidding?
know. You constantly just work at it. But
Yeah.
that was
brother.
honestly, I would say, if I'm being truthful, managing my kids
Yeah.
was probably harder than losing my wife.
Mm.
Because it's the recognition, which was when it happened, it was like it smacked me in the face so hard. We had a dynamic, and the dynamic was I was the enforcer, I was the disciplinarian,
Yeah.
and then she balanced that with like her love and tenderness and the things that she brought to the table. So I could be as hard as I wanted to be because she was coming behind me to lift them back up.
Yeah.
And that dynamic is gone. Like it's not there anymore, So one day we were at a football game. She was in the hospital, and my son ended up getting into it with another kid. I mean, obviously he's in a terrible emotional state. Like, he hasn't seen his mom in months.
Yeah.
So he's dealing with that. He gets into a fight with a kid on the field, and I have like a look. Like, he knows my look. It's like if I look at him a certain way, it's just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just a look this time. It was like, get over here, like.
Look and hand
Yeah,
move,
exactly.
really.
Get over here. So he comes, and he's right in front of me, and I'm looking in his eyes, and I'm just getting ready to lay into him, and it just was like, smack, like, you can't. Like, if you do what you're about to do,
There's nobody on the other side.
what happens next?
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like, we'll talk about it at home. Like, it
Yeah, I
just,
need to
it
take
was
this one through.
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like, let me actually not be emotional
He was
in this
probably like,
moment.
ooh,
Yeah.
like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Thought that'd be way worse.
Did you end up talking about it at home?
Oh, absolutely.
All
Like,
right.
we've since then developed way more dialogue. Because it didn't have to be as much dialogue back then. It would just it could
I'm
just be
sure
like
they
what it
noticed
was.
too, you know, and I'm sure that they noticed you trying and like you taking that pause, and they noticed.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I mean, my son's back then, he was probably 10 or 11.
Oh yeah.
And my daughter was young, so it was really unclear as to how much she would remember of what was actually going on, which now I'm finding out she remembers way more
Than you thought?
than I thought. But she was, she was traumatized to some degree, I'm sure too. So she was suppressing a lot of things and keeping a lot of things in. And now
I think for kids, it's just so confusing overall.
Yeah, but my daughter, first of all, is an 8-year-old in an 18-year-old body.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, 8-year-old body with an 18-year-old mind.
Yeah.
So she communicates like an adult. Like, she's very, very aware.
And like ask questions and stuff
in
like
general,
that.
though, like mentally and emotionally, she's very aware, but also like physically and present. Like, she's just always present.
Yeah.
Even when the day Ashley got sick, I tell the story all the time. the day she got sick, she was it was COVID then, like mainly in
Yeah.
COVID, and she was struggling to breathe, like she couldn't get air,
Yeah.
and she was she had like a ventilator hooked up and like one of those dehumidifiers,
Yeah.
and she's drinking tea and she's just trying to do all these things to like open up her airways.
Yeah.
And you remember with COVID, it's like nobody can go near the person.
Yep.
With
Yep.
COVID,
Yeah. 6
10
feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
10
we actually
feet.
had a gate in our house, and my daughter, who didn't really understand, she knew that she couldn't go past the gate. Mommy is here. We got to stay outside the gate. And then they got experience, because I had went through COVID before Ashley went through COVID. And mine was actually pretty extreme too. Nowhere near as extreme as Ashley's was, but the kids got used to dealing with that particular situation. So Ashley's doing all this, and it's getting progressively worse, but I don't necessarily know it's getting progressively worse. And I'll never forget, I'm in the bathroom or in the kitchen, and I remember my daughter standing at the edge of the gate, and she's just like locked in at Ashley. And I look at her, and I'm like, why is she looking so hard? And I look over at Ashley, and she's like getting ready to go, like pass out, because she couldn't breathe. Like, that's how bad it was getting. And because she was looking at her like that, I run over there like something's off. Almost like, you know, when dogs start getting weird and you're like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Like, it was like like she couldn't say it or explain it, but she knew something was up.
And you know your daughter.
And I know my daughter, right? And so I rush in and, you know, obviously call 911 and like get her up. Actually, I didn't call 911. I took her to the hospital because she was like going in and out. So I wasn't sure. And I feel like I could get them there faster.
Yeah,
but
you're like, just get in the car.
Yeah, it's like, we're about to take you to the hospital. Like, we're not about to just let you, you know, pass out in the living room. And so, but she never cried. She never, like, she started getting stuff together with me.
Yeah.
You know, and
she was helping you.
Exactly. Yeah. She's 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years old.
She was 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so it was, so I always say, like, her mom was very similar this way, where when the situation gets heightened, she get calm and chill and very focused and understand like how to, you know, manage those situations where most people, you know, they get scatterbrained and trying to like figure it out. But in real life,
oh my gosh, I would be
here's
freaking
the thing,
out.
though, in real life, she was scared. She was very scatterbrained.
Yeah, she was
like, she was all over the place
composed.
in real life. No, she wasn't. In real life, she was very scatterbrained.
Okay.
She left her keys, like her purse, like she wouldn't be able to find stuff.
Oh, okay.
But when things got crazy or there was an incident or an emergency, she went the other way.
That's when she could just get it together.
Other end of the spectrum.
It's a good
That's
skill.
a superpower.
I was gonna say it's superpower.
So now you know so you have talked about how the person you are now, it will never be the person that you were before. So I got 2 questions around that. Are you, I mean, how do I ask this? Are you happy with who you've turned into?
Yeah.
And the second question to that is, are you are you there, or are you ever going to be there, or are you still creating who you are?
No, I think the process of creating who you are never stops.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a lifelong journey. You know, if you think about most people who seem to be peaceful or seem to be, you know, at a level of happiness, I guess you can say, all those people will tell you, like, it's you're constantly working and practicing becoming. Like, it's just like this state of becoming all the time. And so for me, I feel like I've found peace in my situation. Like, I found peace in the fact that Ashley passed away. Like, I found peace in the fact that I have to be, I'll be a single father for my kids. Like, those are the hard things I think people deal with. And I do feel like I found peace in those things. I don't really compare my life now to like my life before all this stuff happened.
Interesting.
You know, I think comparison in any frame is not healthy. Like, that's just, in my experience, like, people who struggle with a lot of things find themselves comparing themselves to other people or other situations, other businesses, etc. And I've taken comparison out of my vocabulary. Like, I don't compare nothing. I am where I am. I am where I'm supposed to be. That's kind of like my outlook on it. But I feel, my goal is peace all the time as much as possible. And then I feel like there's always different levels of happiness and joy. And so your happiness could be way up here. And then some days it's not as happy. It's, it's just a little happy.
Just normal happy.
Yeah, just normal happy. And then there's days where you are sad. There's days where I do miss her. There's days where I do miss what we had. But it's moments, right?
Yeah,
like it's moments in time.
Like fleeting moments throughout the day or something.
A random song will come on.
Yeah.
And it'll just snap me back to a place that we were when I first heard that song.
Yeah.
And for 5 minutes, I might cry.
Yeah.
My eyes might water, but then I don't sit in it.
Yes. Yep. That's the difference.
It's that moment. I embrace it. I don't try to ignore it, and then I'm on to the next thing.
You choose happiness in that moment.
You got to choose happiness.
You really do, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you this: do you know who you're aspiring to be then? Like where you want to go?
The best version of myself.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know who that is? That like do you have a full image of who that Robert Courtney is?
No, because I feel like you create framework for the aspects of yourself that you want to become, right?
Yeah.
So like I want to be a good human. I want to be an honest human. I want to lead with love. I want people to trust me. Like these are to me foundational moral pillars that I attempt to embody. And the work is doing it at the highest level possible, right? And so that's framework. Now, on some days, being a good human is hard, right? Like right now, I'm dealing with a situation where it's not a positive situation. It's more in my framework, it feels very foreign because it has negative undertones around the things that happened that I was involved in, and I feel the need to talk about it. It's against everything that I am, right? Like,
I think you've mentioned. Is this something you've talked about on social media a little bit?
Yeah, like
which is crazy.
The coaching in the Woodhaven situation.
Yeah.
So like, that's not like under most circumstances.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I choose to move on.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Right? This is a situation that my body and my soul is telling me I have to deal with this.
Yeah.
This is the one that I can't just push under the rug and move on.
Yeah.
And I will. Like, I just listen to I truly, to make it just so black and white, the way I live life is I truly lean into my instincts. And every ounce of me is like, this is the one thing that affects way more people, and you have to face it like head on.
Yep.
And then once we've done that, then we'll move on from it. But yeah, like I lean into my instincts. I've had incredible parents who've given me what I feel is the recipe for life to some degree. And at the end of the day, I feel like it all falls under the umbrella of just be a good human. Like just do the things that you're supposed to do.
And build that foundation.
Yeah, and we all know what those things are. Like, if you're lying. Know if you're cheating somebody.
Yeah.
If you're not being upfront. Like, we know these things, and sometimes we choose to do it anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, I just listen to those instincts.
So if you do that for yourself personally, so you're just trying to be you're literally just trying to better yourself instead of, hey, here's some high vision of myself 5 years and pulling yourself in there. Yeah. You're trying every day to build up to that, but allow that to kind of build up. Are you doing the same thing with all of your companies?
Absolutely.
So you're just kind of letting whatever happens today happens today. How can we improve it tomorrow? And instead of trying to live up to you don't have like a 10 or a 5 year, you don't do it. You don't subscribe to any of that?
I don't even believe in it, honestly. Like, I tried because I thought it was business standard. Like if you have a business,
they do.
You gotta make a 5-year plan and you gotta set number goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's left me stressed out. It's left me disappointed. It's made me make decisions that I don't feel were in line with the way I think about things.
Yeah.
And so I don't really subscribe to that anymore. I feel like my company has grown every single year without that being our mentality.
Yeah.
I lean more into just people just in general. And I strongly considered when I was going through this stuff with Ashley, I strongly considered like not trying to grow the company anymore. Like I was very content with just like where we were at that moment. And I'm just thinking about like if the goal is peace, and I feel peace at the amount of money we're making, the amount of clients that we have, the size team that we have, like what really more do I need to actually do? Like, do I need to jump these hoops and do these extracurricular things to like take my company to, you know, another level? And so for probably a year, it was like, we're not on this mission to be the biggest company in the world. Like we're going to just give the clients that we have the best possible service that we can and roll with this this framework that we have in place at the moment.
So what about like CreatorCon then? Like, because there's got to be ideas.
It
okay.
changed.
Yeah.
It changed. I mean, and it's not necessarily like I set goals though. It's more like my passion and energy for these areas is the driver. It's not like I want to make sure CreatorCon does $5 million by a certain time.
Yeah.
Like that's not the thought process. The thought process is how can I let more people know? How can I add more components to this? How can I help more people? Like that's the energy and the passion that I have. And naturally that creates more revenue.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of
but that wasn't the focus.
It's not the focus.
So
Never been the focus.
I think what I hear you saying is possibly, and I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I think what I hear you saying is that most people are focusing when they're looking and trying to aspire a company, it's monetarily. You still have a vision that you're trying to aspire to too, but it has nothing to do with you or your gains. It has to do with impact.
100%. People bringing value. I mean, if you look at my Facebook bio, I help people. That's 1,000% win, lose, or draw. Because sometimes you're trying to help people, they don't want to be helped. Right. Yep. So sometimes I do it to a fault. Like I'm trying to help you so much that I actually overwhelm you, or I give you advice that you're not ready for, or I hurt feelings, or because also like while I'm trying to help people, I'm creating accountability. And I want, in a lot of cases, more for you than you want for yourself.
Yep.
You know, and so you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it. I have conversations with my son all the time that also translates to clients, which is, if I want this more than you do, it will never work.
Right. Yes.
It's just the reality of what we do, right? So for me, it's always about over delivering for my clients, over delivering for people that I feel like I could provide value to, and whatever happens next is organic. It's
and that's why it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's and you'll probably like this. One of the things that I struggle with my personality type is wanting to help everybody, just like you were talking about. And like some people, you're just like, come on, man, let's go. Like, cause you do want it more than them. Yeah. And coaches have coaches. I remember asking my coach, like, I wish, because you've heard you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink unless you salt their oats. So there's always a thing, right? Like, how can I was like, man, how can I salt these people's oats? Because I want so much better for them. And my coach told me something that I thought was really interesting. He said, there's enough people out there that want what you have to offer, that do want it for themselves too, that will never get an opportunity to if you're working with people that don't want it for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And that completely changed my thought, because I only have so much time.
Yeah.
I need to find all the people that really do want help, and I do want everybody to succeed and do better.
Yeah.
But if one person wants success and the other person doesn't, and I can't get to this person because I'm stuck with this person, I've made a huge mistake.
You have, and I think that's probably the biggest business switch mindset. The switch in my mindset after my experience with Ashley was that I'm only doing business with people that want to do business with me. Like we're going to create a magnetism that's going to attract the clients that's for us. And we have to be okay with that, because I would spend that when I talked about like bandwidth and patience and like those things, like those are pretty much the reasons why I kind of had to change that mindset, because I had patience for days. Like, you know, I could deal with somebody being like pushing back on my, you know, advice or the things that I'm trying to get them to do. But now it's like,
You're like, I don't got time for that, dude.
Yeah.
it's not even that I don't have time. It's like, I feel like the reason I believe in social so much is that if I give you a true reflection of who I am and I really create the authentic picture, there's people that will naturally not like me. And there are people that are naturally feel like this guy is a fraud, or this guy is, he talks about himself too much, or he talks about his family too much. Or people, you could be the most loving, caring human in the world, and there's people that's gonna be like, he loves people too much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
He's too
people,
nice.
yeah, people are going to find their reasons for not wanting to deal with you.
Yep.
Becoming so okay with that is, I feel like, a superpower. It's like, you just like me or don't like me. Like,
Right.
Okay, like that's
It is what it
completely.
is.
It
I'm
is.
still me.
Leave it,
I'm still me. Like, I can't
love that.
change who
Put that
I
on a
am.
shirt. We're putting that on a shirt. And that's your
Yeah.
snap home shirt idea of the day.
There
I
you go.
like that.
Take it, please. But it's the truth. It's like, now we put out I try to put out a very authentic message, like we talked about it earlier. I am the primary lead gen for our company.
Yeah.
And so if you connect with me, normally you want to know more. And then normally that conversation happens, which then brings you into our circle. And then I pass you off to the particular area or department that handles that particular thing. And if you are attracted to me, it's because we connect on an authentic level, And so normally those are very positive conversations that happen.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, we really appreciate the space.
Right.
Allow us to come out.
It's like I couldn't give you more.
Before we go,
Okay.
I have this game that I created. I've been dying to share.
Let's go.
So this was created just for you. We came up with this idea forever ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, I want to introduce you to a brand new segment. This is for Robert Courtney only. This game is called Creator or Con. You can see it there on your screen.
Wow.
Can you see it good here?
Creator.
Yeah,
or
so this is called Creator or Con. So what I'm going to do, Robert, is I am going to read to you.
That's so clever.
Thank you
Like,
so
by the
much.
way.
What I'm going to do is I am going to read to you names of people. And based on their name alone, I want you to tell me whether you believe this is a creator or a con. I know it's
Wow.
So you can see it on the screen right there,
Wait,
right?
I gotta ask one question.
Yeah, go
really
ahead.
quick. Is these people that we actually know, or
I
are
hope
these
not.
like okay?
I'm not.
okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. We'll find out.
So I do want to tell you, I haven't seen this
Oh,
either,
man.
Robert.
You got.
So-
I haven't felt nervous this entire conversation until right now.
Hands are clammy. Okay, let's see.
All
I'm
right,
excited.
You ready? So
Okay.
here's the first one. So his name is Oswaldo Silvia. What do you think? Is that a creator or a con?
Well, does it matter that I have no idea who it is?
No, I just based off the name. What do you think?
I'm gonna say creator.
Okay, so Oswaldo Silvia. Oh, come on, hit next. There he is. He is a con.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So Oswaldo Silvia was actually known. He stole 5 pounds of baby powder from a CVS.
Wow. Okay, now
So-
I get it. Now I get it.
No, I get it too.
Now I get it. You
I
didn't
did
know
not.
what to expect
I
either?
didn't
No,
know what to
I
expect.
showed her one part.
Okay.
So, all right.
Got
So
it.
now you know how it's going.
That's
it.
funny.
All right, cool. So here, let's go ahead and do the next one here. So this is Levi Charles Reardon, creator or con?
Creator.
All right, so let's go ahead. I think you're going to see how this is all going down. This is a con. So this gentleman right here was already wanted. All right, and here's what happened. His photo was posted on the Crime Stoppers Facebook page, and he went on the page and liked the post,
Oh
and
my
that's how he
God.
got caught.
Wow.
Wait, that is so funny.
Yes. So
Well,
that's so he was a con. I think you see again how this is going. You might know of or have heard of these people. This is MacArthur Wheeler and Clifton Earl Johnson.
Cons.
Now, do you know about these guys?
No, I don't.
Or you just know how it's going now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so these guys are cons.
I'm a pattern recognition.
Back in 1995, the one guy convinced the other guy that by putting lemon juice on your face, cameras and security cameras inside of banks could not see you. They actually walked in and at point blank robbed banks
Just because they put.
and thinking nobody could see them because they put lemon juice on
wait,
their
that's
face.
so
Oh my
funny. I mean, they have a great imagination.
I like it. It does not work, by the
I was
way.
about to say.
Don't try at home.
Clearly, it didn't work.
I should have started by saying, by the way, don't try any of this. We don't recommend any of it. Don't do any of this. All right. Oh no! Oh, I gave that one away. All right. You're never gonna guess this. Who's Who's Benjamin? I can't even see my thing. Bennett.
Creator.
Well, we gave him away. Yeah. So this is fun. Have you heard of this guy?
No.
All right. So check this out. I'm gonna try. This is my first time with this new software pulling this up. This guy has a YouTube channel, and he has a special series on there that people love. And the series is called Walking and Talking.
Thanks, my internet friends. Welcome to Walking and Talking. I'm paying very close attention.
Yeah. So
to what's going on.
This guy
right
posts
at least
5-hour videos.
I'm trying to convince myself
where he just walks.
That that's what I'm doing.
And talks.
I'm trying to.
That's his channel.
Talk in a very.
Wow.
He has a whole nother series.
Yeah.
Where he sits in a room, and it's called Sitting. And for 5 hours, the camera's on him. And he just sits there.
Is it working?
I mean, he's got 391,000 subscribers.
It's working.
From walking, talking, and sitting. Yeah.
Honestly, he probably has a lot of different, types of following. But what's important that I think is always interesting when you find someone like this is that he doesn't care what people think or what they're going to say. He's just going to keep doing it. And he knows people are going to come back and saying what they think about what he's doing,
I'm thinking some of these people are following him just to like
how did you discover him is how I wonder.
Well, now I've also subscribed. I've subscribed to all these people, and now other people. It's how it happens.
I find myself stopping when I'm like watching reels on whatever app. I stop on some weird videos too sometimes. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I just want to see that.
I mean, Twitch is full of just weird videos.
I know. I love it. So.
How about Khalil R. Jordan?
Creator.
Do you know him too?
Gotta be more creators in here.
What's that?
I'm just saying. I'm just guessing. It has to be more creators.
Yeah, he's a creator. So this guy's really cool because what this guy does. Here he is. He's on TikTok. You can find him. And this is interesting from what you're doing.
Goku rock.
Oh, they can't see it on the... I got you. Hang on, guys. Let me pull this up here. I am still learning how to do this myself. There it is. You guys can see that on yours, right? No? You can't see any of this? You're just pretending?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh, that's funny. So and I guess it's good for the podcast anyway. So the dude has made this crazy gun, and it's kind of like... instead of spray painting, it pulls the threads through a carpet and he just makes imaging. It's super crazy. I'm hoping that.
Oh, so he creates custom carpet, like rugs and stuff like that. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I've seen videos like that. I actually love watching those. It's so satisfying. Yeah. It's like
therapeutic.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you guys might have to, Robert. You might have to swing over here for this one.
Okay.
This is because you got to see this. I can't believe it's not showing up on your thing.
No.
That's crazy. All right, here I'll let you talk into my mic. You're only the second person that's ever been able to use my actual mic. All right, check this out.
I think I'm the first.
This is you were. I still have pieces of you on here. So this is Jan Erickson. All right, I'm just gonna say it's creator. I just want to show you this video. So check this out. I'm gonna share this. Jan Erickson is this guy right here. All right, watch this. This is what this guy does.
What is he doing?
This is
Oh.
That is a carrot, yeah. Yeah.
So for the people watching who don't see what's going on,
they have to be able to see. I'm surprised if they can't.
I don't know. Can you see?
Yeah. So. Oh man. So this will give you a good reason to go back through and watch it too. Yeah. So that's a guy with a drill and a carrot on his head.
No,
I was so happy when I saw that guy. That's because I showed it to you last night.
Crazy, yeah, the craziest thing.
I was so happy when I saw that. All right, this last one might be a trick. This is the last one here. Okay. That is Sean Combs. Is he a creator?
Oh my God!
Or is he a con?
He's a little bit of both.
What's that?
He's a little bit of both.
Well, that's not fair at all.
He's a creator and a con.
No, he's just a creator. Sean Combs on YouTube. Sean Combs right there. He is a musician. He plays the guitar. I found him. Everybody, by the way, he only has, as of this
Shout
show.
out Sean Combs.
Yeah, Sean Combs, man.
2
Shout out to you.
11 views.
He has 2 subscribers. I think we should blow his account up. He plays the guitar.
He's a creator.
He's a creator. He's an amazing musician.
Yes.
Creator.
That's so funny.
Yeah, there's nothing. So, hey, by the way, I also want to get this guy on the show. I think it would be great to get Sean Combs on the show and just ask him how life is.
What's up, Sean?
Yeah. What's up, Sean? So right now he's only got 2 people that subscribe to him. I think everybody should subscribe to Sean
He
Combs
might
on
change
YouTube.
his name.
You think maybe?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm pretty
That's
sure.
what I want to know.
Pretty sure.
I want to know.
He's
Sean
probably getting
Combs,
some unsolicited attention right now.
this is your open invite to Open House the podcast. We'd love to have you on and talk to you about life in general, and have you play guitar. He's actually really decent on it. He put 11 videos up. He got 2 likes. We'd love to blow his account. Wouldn't it be funny if you didn't know that you had this account, and then like it's been 3 years since he posted, then one day you're like, I'll post a new video, and you go to post it and you've got 100,000 followers.
Right.
That
People
would
are
be
wearing
wild.
T-shirts that say I'm with the other Sean Combs. Another shirt idea.
That's so funny.
That's really funny.
We actually, and I apologize, but this is going to work because we'll turn it into a whole nother bit. We actually have a prize for you as well.
Oh yeah.
But it is, I ordered it from eBay, and the dude has not sent tracking information yet, so it's on its way.
Okay.
So this is going to be a to be continued.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, we
Sounds
love
good.
those.
And we'll probably just do it on social media moving forward. But before we let you go and wrap everything
Well, no, you
up,
got to come back when the spot is.
oh, we'll
finish.
be back.
Okay.
That's gonna.
Okay.
Oh,
There's
100%.
I have a whole nother segment planned for you already for the
Okay.
next time we come back.
right.
You've inspired 2 complete segments on this
Love
show.
It, love it.
One of them we couldn't complete yet. We got to wait for the other funding to come through, and then we'll complete that. But before we go, when does, just in case anybody's interested, when does the it's the social media store, right?
Yes,
When
social
does
media
that
store.
open?
Yeah. So I can't say with a lot of certainty exactly when it'll open. The goal is February though.
Okay.
So
Now that's physically. Are you guys waiting until the physical storefront to open it?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so there's a lot of moving parts. There's the Mamba organization that I created. Not sure if you know about that.
No.
Yeah. So
What
that's,
is this?
Yeah. So Mamba is Michigan Association of Marketing and Branding Agencies.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that'll operate in line with the social media store.
Okay.
They'll do workshops and networking events and meetings and
Yeah.
trainings and things like that. I've connected all of the different marketing agents, or not all, a lot of the different marketing agencies here in Michigan to provide those type of tools and resources for people who are members of the store.
Yeah.
So that's one component. And then there's going to be like opportunities to come in and podcast and create content and do photo shoots and like all
Nice.
these different things. So it'll primarily
Wow.
be retail help,
Yeah.
but that'll just be one layer. Like there's gonna be like 5 different layers.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
So there are
Like
things
an
that
onion!
yeah. So there are things that will happen that's been happening before the actual physical doors open.
Yeah.
But as far as the social media store component of it, like that won't happen until the store opens.
Got it.
We'll have
Ooh,
a-
I'm
we'll have
so
a launch.
excited though.
We'll
I
have
am
official,
too.
official launch.
I'm gonna be your first customer.
Yeah.
Pre-customers. We're asking them questions as soon as the cameras go off.
Sure, we'll probably do like a week of soft opening where we
Yeah.
let people that we know come in and
Yeah.
use stuff.
That's
Yeah.
exciting though, for real.
A ribbon cutting or something.
I love
Yeah.
it. Well, man, I appreciate you being on. Summer,
for
what
having
time
us.
is it?
It is closing time now. It's time to shut the lights, hit the door, make sure nobody's still in the house.
Gotta
We're
pull the
closing this
sign.
open house, pulling the sign.
But before we do that, every single week we end the show with an AI-generated song based on who you guys, or the type of genre you guys want. So make sure that you type those in the comments. Here is this week's song. And that's the magic for you guys out there. Thank you for joining us. Watch for this episode to drop on Tuesday. The song will be included in there. And we will talk to you all next week. Peace.